Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're watching. Welcome to an unscheduled Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace live stream. Today I have my good friend, retired Lieutenant Commander Joe Cardinale, filling in. Ed's out in the field. He's going to be joining us remotely shortly. The tent, day 12, goes up at 8 o'clock Mountain Time. Day 12. Listen to that, boss. You got responding units on the day of this reported abduction, missing persons case with blood on the front doorstep. When should that tent have been put up, boss?
Day one. Day one, it should have been up there. Day one, it should have been secured. We're not talking about a small department here. I mean, they cover a large area. They cover over 9,000 square miles in Pima County, but they have about 550 sworn, and then they have volunteers that they can use. They could have secured that. I just don't understand why they didn't. And you know, that's neither here or there right now. It's going to come up later on. But now, because of everything that's out there with this video, with people, they wanted to retrieve something that they do not want anybody seeing, especially the perp.
Yeah, you know, and boss, day one, this crime scene should have been secured. There should have been an RMP. Like I said, the radio motor patrol vehicles, you know, cars with the lights. We see it now. We see them now. But what good is that when you have to preserve evidence, and then you have to collect it before it becomes contaminated. And I got on the phone with Ed Wallace this morning when this tent was up, and Ed was exact words, a day late and $1 short. This is Ed. Like, Ed likes to really give credit where credit's due, but he's like, Ron, this is embarrassing. It's embarrassing that they waited this long, because you had clear indicators. Look, we're detectives. We're retired investigators, right? But even as you said, Joe, before we went on, the public sleuths know better. The people who watch us that get educated say, well, wait a minute. What is this? Let's go to the videotape.
We're seeing some movement. Matt, describe the scene for us.
Yeah, in the past couple of minutes, we saw this white tent be put up outside of the front door of Nancy Guthrie's home. Obviously not clear why that tent is there, but it is most certainly blocking view from the public and any passerbys. We imagine there might be some activity happening inside of that tent, which is directly in front of Nancy Guthrie's home. Of course, that doorstep has now become such a critical element of this investigation, because we have seen that masked figure right outside of that front door. Also, the blood drops leading from the front door down the sidewalk to the gravel driveway. Perhaps the tent is protecting that blood and the evidence from the sun, or perhaps there will be ongoing investigations that they want to keep a little more discreet underneath that white tent. But it was just put up moments ago. We'll be sure to keep you updated on any activity going in or out of that tent. It's clear to us on the ground here right now that investigators have really been focusing on the area in and around Nancy Guthrie's home, meaning foot searches on the ground, also over at Annie Guthrie's house as well. Over the past couple of days, our crews have seen foot searches, grid-like searches, all times of the day. Morning, noon, and night. In fact, just this morning, really only a couple of hours ago, one of our crew members saw the Pima County Forensic Unit searching a major thoroughfare around here, Campbell Avenue, taking pictures on Campbell Ave. And that was about a mile away from Nancy's house. And then yesterday, investigators found a black glove also on Campbell Avenue, which is a
correction. They found 2 black gloves, and we're well aware that this tent has now come down. But we're going to talk to you about the potential of what they did behind this tent right after we show this little piece here. I just want to set this up for you again. This was 8:02 a.m. Mountain Time, 11 o'clock on the East Coast. So the tent is down now. We're aware of it. And we'll talk about those 2 gloves once Ed Wallace joins us. But yeah, let's just take a listen. And kudos to Fox Flight Team to having drone footage. And I know lots of TikTok and YouTube creators are out there in front of the house. So shout out to all the YouTube and TikTok content creators who are boots on the ground, giving lots of the audience a bird's eye view.
Busy street that feeds into Nancy's neighborhood. Then that glove could be the type of clue that could offer critical DNA evidence. And of course, the Nest Cam video that was released outside of Nancy's front door shows that masked figure wearing dark gloves. The surveillance video was released on Tuesday, but so far the FBI has not released a description of the person in that video, meaning estimated height and weight. We're told law enforcement is working on that description, but that ultimately could help the public narrow down exactly who they're looking for out here. So back live outside of Nancy's house, we will keep you updated on the ongoing investigation and developments here in the Tucson area. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Matt. Phil?
Dana, I want to take you over. Sorry, I thought we were going to play a soundbite there. My bad. Come on over here. We'll get to that soundbite momentarily. All right, Nancy Guthrie's house is right here. Okay, I want you to show you the location for where that glove was located. I'm going to give you 3 different ways to get there, all right? And it takes no time at all to get from her home, all right? It's 1.5 miles if you fly like a bird. It's 4.5 miles to Annie Guthrie's house if you do the same. But all these roads are such a winding tapestry in this neighborhood. Must be beautiful in the southwestern part of America, but you can go up this road and find your way to that glove location. You can also go this way and find your way. You can also take the shortest route, which puts you here as well. All 3 routes, about a mile, mile and a half, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, you're there. It's only stop signs, no stoplights. It's not far at all. So keep that in mind about this location, whether or not that's significant. This is the glove. The New York Post had a crew there when they found it yesterday on the side of that road. And this is the neighborhood, the tapestry of roads that I described. Everything in yellow on the outside, those are the main roads. Everything in green is just this windy road that takes you, it looks like a tree branch, right? Several tree branches throughout the area. Nancy's home's here. The glove was found there, and we'll see whether or not.
Okay, Joe, let's get into the glove. It's 1.5 miles away. It's shown right up here on the map. I'll leave it up. I talked to Ed last night. Of course, we've been back and forth debriefing each other as these things develop, and we just don't like to just jump into the live. By the way, lots of people checking in. I saw Finland in the chat. I saw Ireland, a couple of folks from outside the country. So thank you to our international audience, New York City. Timmy Acosta, retired first grade detective. Billy Ryan, another retired first grader from the arson and explosion unit. So heads up and shout out to all of our NYPD retired guys in the chat. Thank you for joining. Joe, Ed had mentioned to me that if the perp was wearing gloves and then double, because it looked like it was a thick outer glove. If he was wearing double gloves, the inner glove that was touching to the hand, yes, they could get DNA and perhaps evidentiary evidence from that glove, if in fact it is the glove. And let me just, before I let you talk about this, we've watched in the Brian Kohlberger case and in Gabby Petito, I'm naming 2 cases where people have put or people have found gloves that had nothing to do with it. People just get the idea, they see these videos, and there's also the possibility of some crazy lunatic, for whatever reason, decides to just plant the glove, call in a tip, and have, because it's not the way we saw these FBI guys. They went right to that spot. It wasn't like they just stumbled across it. So there's that potential. I'm not saying that's what it is. We saw in Gabby Petito, somebody said that they found her water bottle in the middle of a field out over at the Mayakahatchee Preserve. That turned out it wasn't hers. Her own mother showed me, Ron, we have her coffee mug from the back of the van. It was in the van. So there's those potentials. But Joe, I don't want to get your take on the black gloves, and we'll get right back to the tent because it's down now.
Yeah, agreeable that he's wearing double gloves there. That's for sure. What they're not mentioning here is that during the morning hours, the daylight hours, you have a lot of joggers that will take these paths because it's not, heavily congested with cars and everything. And that's when you get what you just described. You get people that see things, a jogger might find it, and you get somebody and it looks like they got the evidence team there, which is great. And it's better to have it than not have it. Every little clue makes a difference. We know that, when we backtrack. And you're going to need all these clues at the end of the day when somebody is taken into custody for what happened over here. So this is key. This is, key to get the public involved. Maybe it should have been done a little sooner, but I think they were holding a lot of things because of the kidnapping aspect of this. They had to hold back on certain things to get that out of the way, to make sure that that was addressed, which was foremost. We all agreed on that. But right now, I think they're dissecting what happened behind that tent because of more things that came up. The more they look at the video, they might have more video, you know that. But they did bring in some equipment that I'm sure you and Ed could address a lot better than I can as to what that equipment is for.
Absolutely, 100%. And the first 24 to 48 hours as it pertains to a crime scene is crucial, because when you have people coming up and delivering pizza, news reporters doing their job, I'm not saying anything bad about what they did because that's what they're out there to do, get the story, right? If you leave a potential area, just picture this, Joe. A crime scene in one of the projects. Somebody's missing a special category, 84-year-old, health issues, blood at the front of the doorstep. Picture the crime scene unit, the homicide major case guys saying, okay, take down the crime scene tape before any official sketching, scaling, photographs, photography, evidence that collected and so forth. It's just unheard of. And to not have a police vehicle parked outside that house until we get to until they completely do a full forensic scrub of that location is a travesty of justice. And there's no other way to put it. There's no other way to say it. I can't sugarcoat this, and I won't sugarcoat this. And this should be done for every case, not just because this is a high profile case. This is investigation 101, people. This is not rocket science.
Ron, I said that this morning on a podcast that I did for Fox Digital. I said, let me explain something to you. I said, I can say for sure that under my watch and so many more like me in the NYPD, we don't allow this to happen because we treat every case, whether it's high profile or not, it's a crime. We have victims, families, and we have to answer to them. All right. And we always treated it that way. We would not allow this. We've discussed how we have had crime scenes that were secured. There was a cop on it. If it was in a hallway for an apartment, nobody got into that apartment. All right. If it's a house, nobody gets into that house. Even if, you get a court order, you secure it. I mean, this pizza delivery is going to be for Ed, the red Solo cup in the Karen Reed case. I can guarantee you that. But it's not like they don't have the manpower. They do have the manpower to do this. It's a large county there. I mean, we're talking about over 9,000 square miles, but you do have the personnel to secure it. You should have. Should have, could have, would have. This stage of the game, they have to preserve what they have. And going back with that tent was a good move. So the prying eyes of people that don't need to know of what they're retrieving over there. But rest assured, when I had guys like Ed, you, guys that I counted on, we wouldn't let this happen because it was not in our nature during investigations to let it happen.
Yeah, 100%, boss. And that's why I'm so happy that, not only did we work together in the New York City Police Department, we continued our friendship and our camaraderie and the brotherhood here in our retired life. But the main thing here is that this is not rocket science. I keep saying it. It's not rocket science. It's something that is investigation 101. It's investigatory preservation of the evidence and collecting it. You have to preserve it first, which they fail to do. Okay, I'm talking about the exterior. And then you have to, because we also don't know if anybody came back into that house because there was nobody watching the shop, right? Did someone come through a back door after the fact of this crime? Did somebody come in through the front door because there was no police there at 4 a.m. on day 10, day 6, day 4, day 3? We don't know. Let's take a look at News Nation because we were live outside when the tent came down, and we'll take a look at the equipment that they were carrying out.
Nothing indicating at this point whether Nancy Guthrie is alive. We've also seen, Marnie, several residents walking their dogs by here. We've said, we're sorry, we've kind of taken over your neighborhood. And they said, we just want her found.
We're going to see the tent come down as she speaks.
I don't even want to say memorial, but several flowers. People are delivering flowers with a big note that says, we're thinking of you, Guthrie family. But that latest video that Savannah just posted on her social media channels, Marnie, is just heartbreaking. You just feel for this family.
Right. Well, I mean, Savannah has been, as part of why, Jessica, this case has gotten so much more attention. It's the relationship that Savannah has with her mom and how much she cares for her. How many times Nancy Guthrie has shown up on the Today Show, the trip that Savannah took back to Tucson to talk about her mom's hometown. I mean, it has been in the public eye, and to have her taken in the middle of the night, it's just something that no one can wrap their mind around, that who would do this and why. Did you hit on the detainment of the man who was then released? Anything more on that? Is that leading to anything?
Let's talk about him for a minute, because as we know, he was detained and then he was released. The only connection was that he is a delivery driver. He was out delivering DoorDash. Whether he was in this area or what the connection was to this.
You could see the tent right above her. As we look at the screen, her right shoulder here where my cursor is, they're taking it down as we speak. I want to get to the part where they show the gear coming out, and we'll talk about it.
This disappearance of Nancy Guthrie is still unclear, but something clearly led the FBI and sheriff's deputies to that location. They were able to get a warrant. They went inside of the home.
Shout out to JLR Investigates. I see him in the background pacing.
He has since been released, but it is not entirely off the table that they could go back to him again. Something going on. Again, residents are just trying to get through here. That's what we believe that is. Okay, the tent is now.
I had the video slowed up. I'm gonna laugh. I gotta laugh and highlight this comment. You know, this is how us detectives cope with, you know, stressful situations and stressful cases. But somebody said, does this lady need medication? It was my fault. I had it on 95. It was on slow speed. Here's the tent coming down, and we'll take a peek. I'll slow it back up when the tent starts coming down, because I want to look at the gear.
Now coming down, Marnie. I'm going to move here so that our photojournalist Nick Emmons can push in.
Joey.
All right, what they were getting, we know that they walked.
Okay, so here's a measuring device right here, something that you would see used at a baseball field where they're measuring. And I don't have any doubt in my mind, LT. How are you, Joey Egg Drop? Good to see you, Joe. I have no doubt that they are taking measurements right here of the brick of our perpetrator walking in, also taking measurements of the floor tile to see what his shoe size is, what shoe size he was wearing. Let me just go. I'm going to slow this up, folks, so we could see this, because I'm watching this again back with you guys. So let me slow it down. The voice is going to sound kind of. I'm going to shut the audio off. Okay, there's a tripod for 3D laser scanning purposes and for cameras. Again, we had Faro Industries. That's the premier 3D laser scanning company. All the major crime scene, the Idaho State Crime Lab, many crime labs across NYPD, where they have Faro 3D laser scans. We did a complete show showing an active crime scene from a previous case that they were working. Faro had permission from the family. It showed 6 people shot in a barbershop. We played that video right here live on CrimeTime with DutyRon. They use Faro 3D laser scans. I don't doubt that they have that. There's a backpack full of probably camera equipment and things to take measurements and so forth. Joe, anything?
No, you know what? The fact that they're bringing that, I agree with you 100%. The focus right now is on the latest video, identifying this individual, breaking down his clothing, breaking the backpack, the holster, because all these things, as we said, and as people on your show indicated, could be bought. You know, these things could be bought at Walmart. So they have one team that's definitely going through Walmart, seeing how their mail-in orders came, what receipts, how it was paid for, because they're saying this could have been, we don't know how far in advance this was planned. Maybe they bought it over. I don't know if their cameras go back over 30 days. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But you have to work with what you have right now. And what they have is that video, and what they're trying to establish now to give the public, at this stage of the game, the public needs to know a clearer shot of this individual, more of the gate, more of everything, because somebody is going to identify this individual. Even though we said he had probably double clothes on, the shoes, the gloves, double gloves on with that coat. I don't think it's a heavy duty coat. I think it just looks heavy because it's doubled up. It's doubled up over there. So there's so many answers that aren't ready for us right now. And my big thing is the entry into this house. I still want to know, because as you and I discussed with Ed, there's a good chance that there was a key secreted someplace where this guy was looking. And after the camera was down, that's how he got in.
Correct. You know, Joe, again, it's just so many investigations that we've been involved in. When you see stuff like this, that's on the national stage, most of the cases that you and I went to weren't covered by the news.
Right.
But we went to far too many, more than we'd like to talk about. And we've seen everything from really bad to everything in between. But at the end of the day, this sheriff's department, as you stated, has, I think, 550 or 600 sworn officers. There is no reason why you cannot say that you don't have enough manpower. It's so basic. I mean, anybody with just half of a brain here would understand that. Hey, I think it's important that we have two cruisers posted at the Guthrie home, and if her last known place of life was also at Annie's home, you'd want to secure that home as well too. Okay, but they failed to do that, and people were able to come up and ring the doorbell. As a matter of fact, I think Annie and her husband and the family, they left her. They vacated the presence. They're not even there because so many people were coming up, probably asking them questions. You know, regular content reporters, news people, and so forth. And that's where to me, and when Ed and I sit down and talk about this, we just cannot get over the lackadaisical take on this. Look, we could go back to that first press conference when the sheriff was fumbling over his words. Good. You know, granted, some of us aren't great public speakers. I sometimes I fumble through words and so forth. But at the end of the day, if you're at the microphone at a podium, you're supposed to know. You're supposed to know what you're going to say to the people. And it seemed like he was just all over the place. And I'm not dogging him totally, but if he was not equipped to talk, he should have let somebody else do it. And saying that he has a crime scene, an active crime scene, which was a shock and a ooh and a ah to the media, and then to see the action taken after you have a crime scene, it's a free-for-all at the house. You got Brian Enton and other news outlets coming right up to this doorway that we see day 12. They're doing pictures, measurements. It doesn't look like there was any forensics. We didn't see them come out with any brown paper bags or anything like that. I believe that everything was done right there in the vestibule. Joe?
Yeah, you know, I think if they had secured this from the beginning, we would be at a different point, because they wouldn't have had the photos that the media put out of the blood stains over there, and they could have used that to their advantage, right? But they weren't afforded that luxury. And here's something else, Ron, that you have brought up so many times on the show. In the NYPD, we had the luxury of manpower, right? All right, where we can allocate manpower to the areas that we needed right away. All right, I would call up and say, I need X, Y, and Z, and Chief would get me that X, Y, and Z right away, because they knew if we're calling in for this, we need it. That's the way it is. And I'll just say this quickly. With Uvalde, I put something together. It's called the Minuteman Project. And I think it was Sheriff Wayborn in Texas. He actually implemented it, where they had volunteers that were vetted because of the wide area, just like Pima County over here. You have 9,000 square miles, but you don't have the manpower to respond to the exterior of these things. So you vet people for a Minuteman Project that can get there for you and secure a scene that you know are coming. Retired law enforcement, military, whatever, EMTs, everything. You could have easily did that. They have volunteers in this county. All right. And they could have put a volunteer in a marked car with the lights going and secured it and made sure that nobody got in there, because they have these volunteers. I'm sure they're vetted as well. The one thing I didn't like was the previous sheriff getting on saying that this sheriff doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah. All right. If you felt that, why didn't you call the guy up and offer him some assistance?
Yeah. Why dog him? It's look, we're critiquing his initial press conference, and then he did one that Thursday, and that was the last we heard of him. It was Thursday. We're now
Ron, not to cut you off, I think he was basically told stay out of the media right now. And then, you know, he's not that he's in over his head. He's never had this before. He's fairly new to the area. Mm-hmm. And like you said, then get somebody who can get the message across and you go over it with them, he or she, before they go on TV, and say, this is what we want out there, and coordinate it with the FBI saying this is that. Because at that point, they were dealing with a possible kidnapping, and it changes the whole dynamics of what we're investigating.
A kidnapping with blood at the front of the doorstep. So it's more than just a kidnapping. It's a kidnapping with a potential homicide. Let's call it as it is. Okay, we're investigators. We're not under any constraints here. We don't have to be afraid to talk about it. When you have blood, now granted that was a small amount of blood, but you have a woman who's on blood thinners, has a pacemaker, and is limited mobility, as per her family statement. You got that blood at that scene, and God only knows what's inside that house. We don't have any word because, of course, rightfully so, they're tight-lipped on about the inside of the house. That's part of the investigation. Who knows about the inside of the house? Nancy Guthrie, if she's still alive, God hopes that she is, and the perp. That's it. Those are the only two that know about what went on inside that house, and the detectives that went in there. Okay, so you don't want to put that out there for obvious reasons, but at the end of the day, you have to secure that scene. You have to make sure that nobody's up there and fumbling through it. Somebody put in the message in the live chat, and please, folks, if you're not yet subscribed, take a moment to subscribe. This is a great community for learning. Ed Wallace is joining in about 5 minutes. I just got confirmation from him. Someone asked about what was our thoughts, and she asked it directly to me, but I want to ask you as well. Is what were the thoughts on that stuffed backpack on the perp that we saw in the video? And Joe, since you're helping me out and you're being guest host here, I go to you first on your thoughts, and I'll give mine.
Well, I'll just throw it right back to what you have said and what Ed said. I mean, this is somebody that, listen, this was no doubt about it planned. To what degree and from who, we don't know yet, but it's definitely the familiarity with being at that place before, somebody telling you this is what you can find. That being said, they went in there. Maybe they're looking to take things out. Maybe they're looking to put a rug down, a top down for, like you said, we don't know, whatever it is, duct tape, zip ties. We don't know what is in there. Change of clothes, perhaps, where they can ditch something and do something. We don't know. I think it's going to be disclosed later on. But you know what? It really amazes me. It really does amaze me that people just take these things in directions that they don't need to go. All right, we need to focus on what we have. And I have said, I've been with Fox for 24 years. All right, be it radio, TV, digital, whatever it is. And it's something that's constant the whole time is when these crimes are committed, we go back to the crime. And this is the time I use this term. I said, this crime evolved into something else. The original crime may have been this, but it evolved into something else, because if it were a kidnapping, they're not going to try to hurt her. They're going to try to preserve her, get her out of there, take the medicine with them, because she's the prize for them. She's the one that they have to give back to the family. And you're going to want to do that under controlled conditions. I think this got out of control, way out of control. And that's where we're at right now. So, a lot of questions have to be answered. And I really wish they would have secured that crime scene from day one. And as Ed said, you said, and I said, we can go back as many times as we want once we have control of that crime scene. That's it. We don't have to explain it to anybody. You have a court order. This is the way it's locked down until further notice.
Right. And something Ed said that's very compelling, and I hear it a lot. I've been with Ed since 2021, so going on 5 years. He says, you got one shot to do this right. Garbage in, garbage out. So if you make a mistake, or if you give it a defense attorney, because what we hope to get to here is Nancy Guthrie reunited with her family. And that's a far stretch right now because of the time, 12 days. But to get Nancy Guthrie home is one of the key focuses here in the investigation, but also getting the perps into custody or perpetrator. I say perps plural because we don't know if there's one or two. There could be three. We don't know. But getting a prosecution, a successful prosecution, is another key element. And the element to getting that done is evidence collection and the proper evidence collected. Defense attorneys have field days with stuff like this. Kathy, thank you for this comment. She said, did the person who took Nancy take any money or jewelry out of the house? That was asked. Was this house burglarized? Was it their forced entry? All those questions were unanswered. Did the person walk through an open backsliding glass door? These are all things that are left to us to speculate on. We cannot from the video in the front door, we cannot see any signs of forced entry, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't any forced entry. A lot of times people can lean on a door and push in on it if it's not properly secured. We saw the deadbolt, but around back, we really didn't get a good look back there. So we don't know the point of entry. We don't know what was taken. Because again, if that perp went in with that backpack, now here's my speculation on the backpack. He had zip ties, duct tape, handcuffs, a tarp or a heavy blanket or something to wrap up either goods or jewelry or items of interest, or perhaps, I hate to say it, to take the victim out in, and I don't know. We don't know. This is all speculation, but that backpack was stuffed to the gills. You could see it. And those are things that people who go into burglarized homes, if that was in fact the motivation here, if he was going there to clean up or to remove or to take out after the fact, because again, when Nancy came home, she was, I believe, went through the garage because of ease. That's an opportunity if someone's laying in wait to go and sneak into that house, sit there and wait till she gets settled in and goes to sleep, and then get her in at 1 o'clock, 1:40 in the morning, or whatever the times are. I have it written down here. But so there's many possibilities, folks. This guy could have been in the house already before she got home. We don't know, and came back out and said, "Oh, I got to get rid of this stuff. I got to get rid of the can." There's so many possibilities. Let's take a little bit of a turn. And Joe, I promised you 30 minutes. We're over 30 already. I apologize.
Nah, that's okay, man.
Let's take a little bit of a turn because this is about the victims and their families, all of these cases. Savannah uploaded on Instagram. This is heart-wrenching. Old family movies. It's not long, but she uploaded it today, and your heart has to break for not just this family that we're talking about here, all the families who have loved ones that are missing and have no answers. Here's a heart-wrenching video shared on her Instagram just about an hour ago.
Search for Nancy Guthrie a moment.
Hold on, I had it slowed down from
my boy Bill.
Live TV, right? I'm my producer, editor, and host. So here we go.
Savannah went to Instagram yet again and played a video. And we're just going to share that with you. And it's a video, obviously, when Savannah was young with her older sister and older brother. And as you watch it, the family of four comes into focus. And we'd remind you that Savannah lost her father when she was a teenager. And she gives her credit, she gives her mom a lot of credit for raising her brother and sister and her.
Very close. And you can see their beautiful picture there of the three kids who have been holding fast to each other during this entire 12-day investigation. Savannah has kept everyone as up to date as she possibly can, I believe, with posts on Instagram. You can kind of imagine what she was feeling as she put this together. These are probably some of her favorite videos and photographs, as she has been begging for people, for whoever has her mom, for a sign of life. She said just on Monday that she believes she's out there. So maybe she had a more specific reason to believe that than beyond hope. The investigation is continuing in Tucson, Arizona this morning with a little bit of a development with a tent that was put up outside of the family home. The door that we've been looking at for many days is now covered in a white tent.
Let's get to Matt Finn quickly. We'll get an update from on the ground there. And I'm reminded what we were talking during the break here. When Ed Smart said on day 2, he said they wanted to have a press conference every day to remind people that their daughter was missing. And this is part of that effort, Matt, to keep Savannah's mom in the news.
Yeah, before this goes any further, too, I'm going to let a little bit more of this play, Joe. This is also something that not only the family, obviously, first and foremost, the family wants, the investigators want it, and all the true crime sleuths like Natasha Richardson. Proof of life is needed and is not provided. So all of these ransom notes and all of these requests for Bitcoin, in my opinion, and I could be way wrong, and we're only led to give our opinions because we don't know. I think a lot of them are just opportunists. What's your thoughts on that, boss?
You know what? The proof of life, this whole investigation shifted after the deadline, after the second video. And then when the third one came out, this whole thing shifted. And then Savannah went and turned to her. Imagine her, who reaches millions of people every day, through through her journalistic job, all right,
Yeah.
her career, and she feels helpless that she can't even help her mother with this. So she's doing everything she can, and she's going to the people that she's been in front of the camera for years, all right, and she's saying, I need your help. This took a different turn, and proof of life is important, but when you get beyond a certain point and they say, listen, we tried this, we tried that, try this appeal. That video, that footage that she showed of her mother with her brother and her sister when they're young, all right, she's hoping to tug on, what if they have a heart, the people that are involved with this, or somebody that's involved over here. And yet so much speculation. We don't know the involvement. You and I discussed the family dynamics. We don't know the family dynamics, but everybody else does. I'm sure they all spoke about who was, you notice you don't see the brother-in-law at all. So that leads to more speculation as to what's going on there. People are talking about financials and everything else. Well, yeah, they have to, because that's motive in certain things. And we have to address that. And here's the thing that people have to understand. If we were involved in this in the NYPD right now, we would still be the lead for this with the assistance of the FBI. But prior to 9/11, and you could attest to this, we didn't get the cooperation that they get today. All right. And I'm applauding the cooperation that's there today, because thank God the FBI sends in these resources with people that are knowledgeable, because in departments like this, that's their biggest tool right now. And for anybody else, why wouldn't you welcome them to come in? But for God's sakes, let them take the lead if you have to. You're still going to have your investigators, your homicide investigators, or your robbery team, or whoever. Your detectives are the lead on it, but they're letting them take the lead with them and say, listen, what do you guys think? Definitely in there pooling their ideas, saying, listen, we're at a loss right now. What do you guys think?
The more power that you have, the more investigative resources and the more tools that you have to go at this, the better off you are. And taking the FBI and merging them with the Pima County Sheriffs is like getting a Super Bowl team together. That is something that happened early on in this thing, but it too bad it didn't happen immediately. Ed Wallace is joining us remotely. I also want to say, Joe, victimology is one of the first things that you do in steps like this. And you go from the family and the closest family members, and you work your way out to cousins, relatives, distant relatives, aunts, uncles, people, associates, and then it just keeps working out. It keeps expanding out. Joining us remotely is Ed Wallace. Ed, did you get a chance to see the equipment that came out of Nancy Guthrie's home?
No, I didn't. You have video of it? Because I was in the doctor's office with my son.
Yeah, hold on a second. I do have video of it. Looked like let me get this. Let me get it to the spot. Do we have that, Joe? Now I got to get it. All right, give me a second, Ed. It looked like there was a backpack. I saw a tripod, and then what else do we see? A fully like a full backpack.
Measuring tape.
Measuring tape. Yes, thank you, Joe.
Could have been a scanner, 3D laser scanner.
I didn't see it. I didn't. The tripod wasn't thick like we normally see with the 3D laser scanner. But hold on, I'm getting the video up right now. Just give me 2 seconds. Of course, technical difficulties. I'm going to News Nation right now. Just give me a second. All right, here we go. So, Ed, what's your thoughts on the black gloves that were recovered 1.5 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home? Your thoughts there?
Okay, so that's good pieces of information there, possible evidence. Along that route, they're going to run the DNA. You're going to do the DNA on the exterior and the interior of the gloves, and they could find possibly Nancy's DNA on the exterior of the gloves, or a mixture of Nancy and the suspects, but definitely on the interior, possibly the suspects' DNA there.
Can you full screen at this? I've got it full screen. Hopefully you're not driving. If you are, pull over. I'm saying that because I love you. So here's the investigators walking out. I have it in slow-mo. Looks like there's a measuring.
So he's got tape. He's got evidence, numbers.
So here's the
Looks
tape.
like yeah, it looks like that yellow bag of evidence numbers. He's got a backpack. Let's see what he's got there. He's got a tripod. He's got lights. Yeah, it looks like they might have been doing some scans for, you know, in there. In addition, they could putting up that tent. Putting up that tent can darken the area out. You know, maybe they did some presumptive blood work, some luminol or something like that to see if there was any latent footwear impressions from footwear impressions that might have had a slight amount of blood on it.
I was anticipating as well, because we have the perp in that vestibule in the doorway leading up, right? Maybe they were taking some measurements on the floor, on the tiles for foot measurements, foot size for the perp, and also looking and measuring the brick in that entranceway to the front door to get a size, a proper size as it, you know, as they measure it up to the video that they have. And again, they might have more video than what we're seeing, but you think that's a possibility there? Because it was just really this area and it was fully enclosed. You saw it, right? I sent you the picture.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You know, they could do all kinds of measurements that will help them aid in the height, weight, footwear, size, all that, as we spoke of earlier. So getting a detailed scan of this location would help with a lot of that as well.
Yeah, and you make a good point, Joe. I know you love listening to Ed. This tent was completely closed up, so that could have been purposely done. And it was 8 o'clock in the morning, Mountain Time, to maybe have a darkened situation where they're looking for additional blood, possibly on the bricks or anything that might have been cleaned up and so forth. Right, Ed?
Right, and if you're going to do the luminol work, you have to make it dark. Okay, so yeah, that's what, you know, the tent could assist with that.
People in the chat, and I love to scan the chat from time to time, even though it throws me off. People are questioning, how do we know it's a man in that video and the pictures that we saw? Ed, your thoughts on that?
Well, again, from the physical appearance, from what I've seen, the mustache, so forth and so on, money is on, it's a man. Okay, but also one other thing with that tent and that protocol there, the vestibule, they could be doing infrared photography as well. Now, infrared photography can make things that are latent visible as well, that you couldn't see with the naked eye. So they could be using that for contrasting information there and finding additional blood that may be present that you couldn't see with your naked eye as well.
Yeah. Also, what happened to Joe? I added him back. I don't know what happened. You bounced out for a second, Joe. I'm sorry about that. Somebody asked in the chat, and thank you for the super chat, Helen, the Scottish Llama. She says, how quickly would the UV destroy any DNA evidence? She's talking about like
UV?
sunlight coming
from
in.
The sun?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if the sun can get in there now, there's multiple bandwidths of UV. So there's UVA, UVB, and UVC. You know, and there's what we call, those are in the long range and short wave. The short wave is the most dangerous of them all. So UVC, it can cause cancer. What exposure with UVB and C can cause cancer as well. So impacting that area for prolonged periods of time, between the heat, the cold, and UV exposure, there could be some degradation of the genetic materials that we would look for in blood for DNA analysis.
Somebody in the chat said one of the machines said ultrasound on it. I'm looking, I don't see that. Maybe they had a better look at it from a different angle.
It could be an alternate light source.
Yeah.
All right, that's another tool that they could use, and that allows the crime scene investigators to do various search methodologies with the light, and you can dial in the wavelengths of light from UV through Roy G. Biv all the way to infrared.
But now, Ed, day 12, they put this up. Is this a bit, are they a bit tardy?
Is it late?
I'm trying to.
Is it late? Yes.
Nice. Joe and I have been lightly skipping around. Well, not really. We really went at it. Is this ridiculous? Is this ridiculously late? What do we got here, Ed? Day 12. You got a tent.
It should have been. It should have been a part of the initial crime scene investigation in the first day of the crime scene.
We have a full uploaded video of Ed Wallace going over, and let me know in the chat how many of you would be interested in seeing this. We have a 12-minute video of Ed Wallace going over what crime scene, unit, and investigative steps should have been taken in this case, and in any case. This applies not just to this case, it applies to any case. We had Ed do a pre-record video. Let me know in the chat how many of you would like to see that. It's Ed 101. It's Crime Scene 101. We have that ready to go. Kristen, our producer, put it together, and she had all kinds of video footage to show what Ed is talking about. I think that will be that'll go over well for our folks here, the true crime enthusiasts that love to learn about the proper way to do this. Joe, you have any questions for Ed before we let him go?
Yeah, I do, Ed. Quick question. So I don't know if you can totally seal off the light from the outside with the tent the way they did, but do you think they were trying to recreate the exact lighting under the conditions that this guy walked up in?
Maybe they're trying to do that with another infrared camera so that they can color correct it. Right. Because right now, you have the infrared image, which is basically grayscale. Okay. And so maybe they're trying to do this to gather that additional data and then color correct the clothing that the suspect was wearing.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are using Chat GPT to color correct and the clothing, and others are using it to try to take the mask off to see what the person underneath the mask looks like. But yeah, but that's all speculation, and that wouldn't hold up in court per se. But what they're doing here, if they're doing that, if they're trying to do infrared scans in here and then use it to color correct and get that kind of information, this is the proper way to do it.
That's why I was asking, not to cut you off, Ron. That's why we were speaking about that earlier. Once they can do that color correction and add color to puts color to stills that they have for this individual, I think that's going to go a long way with people trying to identify him.
Yeah, absolutely. And the FBI, there's no better organization in the world than the FBI's tech team. Those guys and girls can run circles around most of us as it pertains to tech. Look, Anne-Marie 14, thank you for this comment. There's many great comments, and we love our live chatters. I just want you guys to know we love and appreciate our live audience, and the folks who watch the replay, our replay viewers, we love you guys too, guys and girls. You leave a lot of comments in the comments down below. Anne-Marie says, what about the fact that 3 or 4 days ago, reporters ordered a pizza, and the pizza guy showed up with the sheriff's department vehicle there, and he proceeded to walk up to this front door where we're seeing this tent being set up. A Domino's pizza.
Right, well, that's because the scene wasn't safeguarding. Okay, the reporters went up there, civilians went up there, after they dropped the tape. And again, we had this conversation. Joe was with us. Joe chimed in on it as well. Should have never dropped the tape. Okay, should have always had somebody there safeguarding the crime scene.
Yeah, what's the downside to holding on and keeping the crime scene? Look, we had the Moscow, Idaho murders, right? And we talked about the found glove at that scene that never turned out to be anything pertaining to the scene. We also found the water bottle by the Jagaloons in the Gabby Petito murder. people saying, "Oh, look at what I found at the Mayakahatchee Preserve," and it was just all bullcrap. But with this one, you don't even challenge somebody coming up the driveway with a pizza. Come on, man.
You know, that reminds me of a case that I had in the Rockaways, an internal affairs investigation, where allegations were made against uniformed police officers. Anyhow, I went to the scene with internal affairs the day before, and I documented, photographed everything, sketched it, and then the same internal affairs guys went back the next day, and lo and behold, there was evidence there that wasn't there the day before when I went, and the photographs proved it. So somebody went there between our visits and planted evidence against the officers, and then what ended up happening is the person making the allegation and the person's lawyers were arrested and charged for falsely reporting a crime and planting evidence.
Yeah.
Kind of love it.
Insane. Here's something from Lynette. She said, DutyRon, I work at the ophthalmology department, and I think the mask ban has something called, I'm not even going to try to tackle that, Joe, if you can pronounce that, whatever, an excess of
something
in the upper eyelid. Is that like the extra eyelid flow? When you get older, the ladies always and men always get it. It comes down like the sagging eyelid. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you. I would never see that. And that's comes with the experts in their field. So, all right, look, this is
actually very good, Ron, because there's medicine that's prescribed for the eyelids that drop and everything. If you do get somebody like that, that's something to look into. Another great point.
Some people in the chat saying he was wearing 2 masks. Ed, what are you doing? Did you leave or did you bounce out on mistake?
I backed out. I lost you. I dropped. The signal dropped. Did you hear what I said, though?
I did not. Repeat, please.
Okay. So I had a case, an internal affairs case here in New York City in the Rockaways, where
we heard it.
Allegations were made against 2 uniformed police officers. I went there with internal affairs to the location where they said this alleged crime by the police officers took place. And I searched it with them. I photographed it. I sketched it. Okay. Now, the internal affairs detectives and supervisors were supposed to go back to that location the next day with the suspect and the lawyer for the suspect. And lo and behold, when they went back the next day, there was evidence that wasn't there the previous day when I went and documented the scene, planted there.
We heard it.
So sometime between my visit and this next visit, somebody went. The lawyer and the suspect were alleged to have gone back there and planted this evidence, and my photograph showed that evidence wasn't there the day before, and. Right. Then they ended up collaring the lawyer and the suspect for falsely reporting crimes and planting evidence and so forth.
Well, there's a prime example, and we heard you the first time, so everyone got to hear it a second, and that's great for people who are joining in. If you do not secure a scene, people can fumble with it. People who have bad intentions or don't want to get caught can send somebody else there, another person, co-conspirators, people that are in on this crime. To hey, the cops are not doing anything. Go back climb up the back wall and go through the back door. It's wide open.
And Ron, we're at a point right now, just so the listeners and viewers can understand it. We're at a point that everybody knows the crime scene is compromised to a degree. And right now, Ed could attest to this. They need to get the evidence that's going to be irrefutable, no matter what, whether it was there, wasn't there. Certain evidence that's going to tie individual or individuals into this crime, no matter what, whether it was that it can only be there for one reason and one reason only. And I think Ed can speak on that a lot better.
Yeah, 100% correct. 100%. Now, that's why when they found that those glove or gloves, because depending on who you listen to, it's either 1 glove or 2 gloves. Okay. When they found that the gloves, and I hope they did everything to forensic standards in its recovery, into photographs, documentation of where it is. In this case, you would need, like the high-end GPS to document it, because you're out on a highway, and there's very little landmarks there to take extensive measurements from. to fix its location. And then, they put it in, I saw them glove up and put it in a paper bag, but that's great. It's what you need to do. And then obviously the chain of custody and all that's associated with it. So hopefully, that is going to be a crucial piece of evidence. And it doesn't seem to have the issues that any other evidence coming out of the house would as of now.
Yeah. This is a great comment, and thank you, Marjo 2013. And this is we don't know if this is true or not, but one could believe that this could be a possibility based on the lack of action. The sheriff believed Nancy was an elderly woman who wandered off from her home. Nancy isn't mentally compromised, according to family. They said that she's quite sharp, and I believe I heard the sheriff say she's sharp as a tack or spunky or whatever words he used. So maybe initially the initial responding supervisors and officers thought, oh, we got another elderly that lives alone that's wandering. We'll find her. We'll pick her up. But the blood should have been something that raised the red flag right away. I mean, it doesn't take, you don't have to be super, crime scene expert cop wise. Just if you're a police officer and you see blood at the front door, it's not just someone that just wandered off. It's someone that wandered off that's now bleeding. So special category missings. We used to get, Joe, I can't tell you how many times as a patrol cop, I had to search 330 Dumont, all of those projects down there in Brownsville, up and down, knocking on doors, 15, 16-story high buildings. It was exhausting when we had special category missings.
You better believe it. Do you remember Jessica Guzman from the Bronx?
Oh, yeah.
Right? That was a big one for us, young girl missing, all right, up in the area, up in that area of the Bronx. And we had to search under. I've never did this before. Under, because she was small and everything, under the projects. There's crawl spaces in there that you wouldn't believe what you find down there. All right, and we did it, and it turned out to be that this was part of. She was found dead along the Bronx River Parkway, and it was part of a larger crime for somebody that turned out to be like a serial killer.
Unbelievable. One of our channel members asked, "Can we watch the Ring camera video again?" Of course. God bless you, Ed. Bless you.
Thank you.
See if we have it. I know I saved it. All right, here we go. Ask and we shall deliver. Bless you, Ed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, these are stills. Where's the... Come on, News Nation. Don't let me down.
And Ron, do you still have the ChatGPT enhanced one that you showed the other day?
I do, but I don't want to. I want to try to get to this, and then my wife's knocking on the door. I got to get going. Border Patrol. Where is it? I think this is it. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that ChatGPT, I had it saved on another phone that's upstairs. I didn't have it on this computer. But yeah, we showed those enhancements. I'll leave a link in the description and right here above in the video for you to go and check that out, where you're talking about where we made his color and everything?
Yeah, because just to show what a contrast there is from the night vision to that.
Yeah. Many people have seen it. Trying to get the speed to normal. So here, many have seen this dozens and dozens and dozens of times. But what we don't see here is that what the FBI has in the totality on this video. They could have more. There could be cameras. They talked about cameras on the inside of that home, Joe and Ed. There's also the two. Don't forget, there was not one. There was two on that guest house. One shooting straight to the pool in the grassy area, which covered the whole side of the garage and that small little lounging area to be out of the sun. And then there was one facing the garage. There was a solar camera facing the garage. What are they gonna get from that? What could they glean from that? Hopefully, the tech team gets all of that and recovers whatever was on those, if anything was on them. So that's a whole nother thing. Hey, listen, this has been an hour worth of coverage. We want to thank you guys for being here. Ed, thank you for taking the time. Joe, the main boss, my main boss, is telling me it's time to go. So it's time to go. If anything comes out and anything develops, we will be right on it as soon as possible. Thank you, Joey, for the super chats. Was the blood? He said, was the blood pressure spatters? He said splatters. Ed, I'm sorry. And if so, was she possibly taken in front of the house? It's a good question, and thank you for the 20, Joey, egg drop. Ed, your thoughts on that? You want me to read it again? Ed?
Say it again.
Here's a question from one of our super chatters.
Yeah, say it again.
Was the blood high pressure spatter down on the tiles? And if so, was she possibly taken out in front of the house? Taken in front of the house.
Okay, we don't use those kind of terminologies, high pressure, low pressure, or anything like that, high velocity, low velocity. We don't use that terminology, but predominantly there was a lot of what we call 90-degree blood drops that are not being acted on by any force greater than gravity. Then there were some tinier blood drops, some sub-millimeter drops that could be a possibility of expirated blood, or could be a possibility of blood dripping into blood. Because at some point in time, on at least two of those tiles, the victim depositing the blood was stationary. And that's why you have a lot of blood drops on like one or two specific tiles right next to each other.
Right. And you mentioned too, it could have been from a sneeze.
Now, if there's
or a sneeze out of her mouth as well.
A cough, sneeze, or spit. Also, if there would be air bubbles and there would be amylase and mucal material in there. But also, the search of the house is important too. Now, is there any blood inside the house that leads up to this area, or was she attacked at that area? Like, took the pistol whip in the face or something to that effect, right there at that entrance, and that's where she started to bleed, and then they covered up the bleeding as they got off the area there.
That's a good point, Ed. Did he use the butt of that 9mm weapon in a revolver holster to inflict the injuries possibly on Nancy, or did she stumble out of bed and fall? Because we know that she had mobility issues. Again, all of this stuff is speculative. I corrected the splatter. I corrected the spatter, and you didn't hear me. So, just for the record, I read it out as he typed it out, but I said we don't use that terminology. I guess you didn't hear me.
No, I'm talking about not spatter. I'm talking about what she said, high velocity or something like that.
I could get it.
High pressure. Yeah, we don't use that. Yeah, we don't use those terminologies.
Right, but he was just. I knew he's speaking in layman's terms. I guess did he feel like it was something that had a lot of force behind it? But yeah, I got it, Ed. We appreciate the expertise and your the explanation, and thank you so much for taking out all the time. All right, guys and girls, if anything develops, we will be live on it. Joe, I'll give you a final word. Where are we at right now? What should we be looking for, Joe?
I think you're going to see enhanced photos, stills of the individual from the front door. I think they're going to redirect their searches to other areas right now where they should have been in the beginning, but I think they have some knowledge right now. But I think those stills are going to be very important with the color behind it and different angles of it somebody's going to recognize something on this individual.
Amen to that. Ed, what's your thoughts? Where are we at? Where do we go from here?
Well, the DNA from the gloves, if any is found, is going to be crucial. Okay, so I know they're expediting the processing of those gloves to get it to see if they can get a genetic profile of our victim and possible suspect.
Yeah, 100%. And for those of you who are watching, that tip line is scrolling at the bottom. If you see something, say something. If you know something, please report it. A lot of these cases get solved a lot of times by the public, the investigators on the FBI and the local, state, and federal, everybody together. We need your help. They need your help. If you do know something, call that tip in. They said that they've got over 16,000 tips as of this morning, maybe more. So thank you all for being here. I want to just say strength, prayers, and positive vibes right here. It's about Nancy and her family. We send strength, prayers, and positive vibes. And I thank my guests, Joe, and I thank Ed, my co-host, for joining today. If anything develops, look for us live. On behalf of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace and Joe, thank you so much for being here. We'll see you all soon. God bless.
Anytime, my friend.